Speaking tonight. Got it? You good?
What's up, guys? Hey, appreciate you being here. I've known Kelly since before high school. I used to do physical therapy for our school, and he was a guy that when I was in high school, middle school, like everyone kind of looked up to. He does things the right way, treats everyone the right way, and it's one of those things that, for me, this is really cool because I've looked up to him a really long time. I want you to, everything he's about to speak on, for a lot of you that I've been around a while, you know how important mental health is to me. Obviously, it's a growing topic in today's world, which is really important. The battle of being a young man, of figuring out what does life have in store for me, the changes that you're going to go through as far as middle school to high school to college to real world. Like it's a challenge for everyone, right? I still battle with it. I know Maddie probably still battles with it. It's like the tools that he has. I was able to go to a cool conference that he helped put on that had some really cool information that I walked away with. Okay, I can add this to my life. So I really encourage you to, when he says, hey, does anyone have questions? When he asks you to get up and, do an exercise with a partner, whatever it is, take it seriously. And this is something that can help you for your day-to-day life. So appreciate you being here. This is Kelly Risse. So.
All right. Thanks, Donnie. Yeah. Danielle Diego. He went to LC. He didn't mention that. Is there any LC Tigers here? All Bull Pups, Mount Spokane. What else? Mead. Cheney. What else? Shadle.
Cheney.
Oh, Cheney. All right. Cheney's getting big, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Huge school. How many kids are at that Cheney?
Private Cheney High School. 1,200.
1,200. It's getting up there. Yeah, so I'm Kelly Risse. As Donnie said, I've been practicing physical therapy for like 23 years now, so I'm getting old. That's gray hair, right? You guys see that? And I'm up here talking about embracing mental health, right? Which doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Right? Go from a PT to mental health. So it's a topic that's near and dear to me. I have 2 teenage boys, 17 and 18 now. Married for 23 years. Every day's easy. And I have a clinic in Spokane, Physical Therapy Associates. We're in South Hill and downtown. And like I say here, spent 40 years trying to fix, be perfect, show no flaws. And that's kind of the setup of tonight, right? I think as the fellas that we are, we're all kind of born fixers. I think that we look up to people, they fix, they do things the right way. But that's not really the case with mental health, right? So here's my hot takes. We're going to go through a few different things. Kellen Cares Foundation, men versus women, the V word, you guys, vulnerability, empathy, happiness, sleep depth, values, resilience, mental health tips, right? Okay, so as we roll through this, you guys are going to have to collaborate with me, right? We are all fellas here. No females in the room tonight, so you can just let it rip, right? So we're going to talk about this stuff, and I want you to have a conversation with me. Deal? It's super important. So when I've been speaking on this stuff for a few years now, and I'm learning every day, and I will learn from you guys tonight. Promise, right? There's a ton that I'd like to ask you some questions, what you feel about certain things, how things are going at your school, and we're trying to kind of take things one at a time. So that's where we are tonight. This is not a speech. This is completely a conversation. Got it? Okay. And if you have comments, questions, you're just going to speak them up, right? All right. So Kellen Erickson, that was my nephew. He's like my third son, essentially. He died by suicide on January 23rd, 2020, probably the worst day of my life, right? And I'm kind of, every time I do these conversations, I'm looking out at these crowds of these boys, right? And here we are. Kellen was, obviously you can see, pretty good looking dude, real good looking dude. Went to Ferris, played hoops. He was a star point guard for Ferris. Smart kid, good parents, lots of support, and struggled, right? And one of the biggest things that he struggled with was anxiety. And we can probably we've all had brushes with anxiety. We all have anxiety, right? His went deeper and deeper. He kind of got done with sports. He played soccer too his senior year, went to state, and then when he finished at state, his career was over, and he went like straight downhill. Went in kind of a mental breakdown of sorts right after that. And you can kind of understand that space, right? You guys play a lot of ball, right? And the one thing we're encouraging is that, are we all baseball players? Is that my sport here today, mostly? You guys ballers? Hoops?
Yeah.
Hoops. So I think, as parents, we spend a lot of time kind of putting our kids in sports, and it somehow starts to define who we are. And that is not what it is, right? We play baseball, but we are men. Right? So as we talk today, you're going to be thinking about this a little bit. Probably I'm going to hand out some papers and you guys can write a few things down when I'm talking to you about this type of stuff. But that was kind of the initial piece of Kellen, is post-sports, what do we do type stuff, right? He had some anxiety through high school and then gets to the post-sports and drops off. Took a gap year and struggled throughout. And he started smoking marijuana. That was a big piece. And we'll talk about that just a little bit tonight, right? I won't get in your cage too much on that, but it is an important thing to talk about. And he improved. He got better in the summer with support and counseling, that type of stuff, and then kind of dropped back down when he made a few mistakes. Do you guys know it's all right to make mistakes, right? We're going to mess up. So we'll kind of process through that type of stuff tonight too. And then, suicide, he told me how he was going to die. We had multiple conversations about that, and so for me, it's one of the hardest things I can walk through as a human being, right? But I spent a lot of time with Kellen, like lifting him up. Right? He was struggling. I'd come over and I'd be his best cheerleader. I'm like, it's all right. It's all good. We're going to be fine. Like, da-da-da. Probably the worst thing we can sit and talk to each other. Like, the rah-rah cheerleader. Positivity is super important, but there's a point where we got to let you guys be sad, pissed, angry, right? All these normal things in life that we're supposed to have. The difference with boys and girls, right? It's totally different. We're loaded up with testosterone, right? So we'll kind of walk through that a little bit. So Kellen passed away, and out of like pain comes amazing things too. And that's an amazing message for all you guys, right? Struggles, pain, beautiful things come out of that. And what we started noticing was there's an epidemic in our nation with boys and young men. They're struggling. Their numbers are staggering, and we'll go over that a little bit. We had our second annual Helping Boys Thrive Summit, which Donnie was talking about, just for parents and teachers, just kind of educate on how the male brain is totally different than the female brain. Do you guys believe that? Yeah? Well, how so? You guys know? Any ideas?
Like interest, maybe?
Interest?
Yeah.
Okay, like experience, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking anatomy. Like physically that brain is different. Male brain is different than the female brain. So we'll go through a little bit of that type of stuff, but absolutely experience, we'll get to that too. So if you look at the numbers for boys and girls, so for every 100 girls, right, these are the numbers as of 2020. For every 100 girls, 291 boys expelled from public schools, 293 boys ages 15 to 19 die by suicide, 318 by opioid overdose, right? 355 boys classified as having emotional disturbances in class. We're talking, right, autism and that type of stuff. 441 boys, 20 to 29, die by suicide. 614 incarcerated in jails. So 6 to 1 in incarcerations. That's a big number, right? 4 to 1 suicide. Those are big numbers. So we started peeling back these layers a little bit as we were working through this. When I say we, my sister, Kellen's mom, her dad, or his dad, sorry, and my wife, and we have a board of directors that we were kind of looking at this. So 4 times more likely to take their own lives, right, versus women. Women are actually more prone to trying, attempting. They're 2 times more likely to attempt. And there's some differences there that probably for the attempts, for females, you're looking at, they don't use lethal weapons typically, and guys their numbers are way higher on using lethal weapons for suicide. So that's a big deal. But we're looking at the whys. Connection. Guys struggle in connection more so than the females do. Inability to communicate, discussing your issues may be seen as weakness, and then the testosterone impulses. Testosterone impulses are crazy, you guys. Like you felt it at like what, 13, starts rolling in a little bit, right? But every day you have 10 to 15 spikes of testosterone in your body. Like unexplainable, like spikes. And this is actually, they talk about showing this with suicide rates for these young men, right? It's an impulsive space to be in, right? It might be well thought out, but like even in Kellen's case, I mean, it was like the day before pretty good, and then finds out he didn't get a job, and off he goes, right? So there's a lot of this type of stuff that we need to start to understand, that there's chemical things that are in our brain that are not in our control, but what is in our control is how we move through them, right? Does that make sense? Yeah? So, and then obviously the use of lethal weapons. So quick thing, we're not going to talk about suicide too much, but it is a super important topic for you guys, right? You guys has everybody in this room been touched by it? Not too much yet? Good, right? So we want to see, our job is to see those numbers drop, right? We want those numbers to go down. We've brought in Hope Squad, which is a national program to 10 different schools in Spokane that starts in the fall. It's essentially recruiting. Who do you think has the most influence in your lives? Who do you think? What do you think the studies show? Out of, let's say, your parents, your teachers, your administrators, your coaches, your peers. What do you think? Yeah, peers. Number 1, the social government of the hallways is number 1. So here we are, I'm probably talking to some studs, right? I don't have to say that too many times, but you can pretty much, in a real raw way, you can take schools and label kids from 1 to 10 in social influence and how they do. And it could be your 10 could be negative and your 10 could be positive, right? You guys know them, you've met them, right? You probably are some of them, but 10s through 1s. The idea is, how do you get the 10s to bring the 7s, 8s, and 9s up to 10s, right? It's probably not going to be me, right? It's probably not going to be Donnie. We're gonna work on that type of stuff, but you guys hold a lot of clout in that space. And obviously, don't get me started on social media, right? You've all tasted it, experienced it, some rough spots and some great spots, but how do we become people that are lifting people up, right? So with suicide, a quick plug for suicide, right? The National Suicide Prevention Line is dial 988 now, right? So if you or any of your posse are struggling, it's the simplest thing, right? It's a text, and up pops somebody to help facilitate that. So that's first and foremost. These are the numbers are kind of just amazing if you really take a look at it. Anxiety, depression, like 30% of these students are so depressed that it negatively affects their academic performance. That's 30%. These are big numbers. So 1 in 5 students are so stressed out they consider committing suicide. So 20%. So if we're looking, at your school, when you walk through your school tomorrow, you're literally looking at 20% of that group, right? Like, does that even seem real? For attempts. So really processing how mindful and what are we saying to each other? How can we do a better job? What not to say, and these are the things, I'm literally saying these to my nephew 3.5 years ago, right? Your life isn't that bad. Like, you don't really want to die. You got too much to live for. Everything's going to blow over. Everybody's got their shit, right? Meh. Get over it, right? Everything's going to be fine. So the difference is what to say. This is language 101, right? I'm sorry you're going through this. Tell me more. Shut up and listen, right? Can we do that as fellas? I'm horrible at it. Like, this is the hardest thing for me to do, is like, wow, tell me more. Like, can you guys possibly do that and not fix, right? Even with females, right? Here's your dating advice for your life right now, right? When your girl comes up to you and is like, I'm having a terrible day, that's like your number one thing, right? Wow, I'm sorry. Tell me more. You owe me for that. You guys owe me for that dating advice. Can I bring you dinner? Would it be okay if I came over? Just investing time, communicating. You mean so much to me, right? I know that you're in pain. And then you're asking questions, right? You're always asking questions to these guys. Are you planning on hurting yourself? Do you have a plan, right? And kind of walking through that, right? Questions on that stuff? Nitty gritty. Anybody? Okay. We're gonna roll through this. So male brain is totally different, right? So they're doing scans on these brains in utero now, like the male brain versus the female brain. The feminist movement started, right, in like the 70s, when you guys were not even close to being born, right, when I was born. And over a 40-year period, what is happening? The feminist movement has to be here, right? It's like we need to empower our females to be better. But something has happened that's flipped to now it's more of like we're stuffing our fellas down a little bit and the women are coming up. So to be an amazing society, we need two very functional sexes. Got me? So in utero, they're showing that like guys develop in the cerebellum, females develop in that mid to frontal brain, which is is all in the communication skills, processing. Guys are cerebellar. Do you guys know what that means? Cerebellum? Cerebellum is for balance, coordination, right? So if you go back into history, what can you think about way back in history? What were we really good at? Not sports. There's no sports back then. What do you think? When you come out of the womb, how do you survive? How did men survive? Hunting, right? And what did females do when the guys were hunting? Taking care of babies, right? Gathering the community, right? Everybody's huddling together, right? So they're using those strengths at a very early age. So now there's not a lot of hunting anymore, right? But there's still a ton of gathering. So you got these, and there's been some kind of push on guys a little bit too, right? We have to be able to celebrate being a man, right? There's some things that we need to look at, like what happens in our brain and how we can celebrate that. So we have smaller corpus callosum, and we have one verbal center, right? So the corpus callosum goes this way. It's built up it's our communication center, essentially. It's our networking. Females are like phenomenal. Their brains are amazing. We have one verbal center. So we're not going to be as good of communicators. We're going to work on it in general, right? But where we're going to see an amazing space is that the circuitry for the ladies goes right to left. We go front to back. So where we are amazing is at what? What are you guys doing in the batting cages? Our hand-eye coordination, visual spatial. We're really good at video games for a reason, right? It's in the brain. So thinking about that type of stuff. When do we bond? When do guys bond? What do you do with your fellas to bond? Come on. Lift weights, right? You're here. You're at the house of Daniel Diego right here, lifting weights. I go down and speak at Wazoo all the time. I'm like, hey, fellas, take a look at the bars. So what happens in a bar for guys that are 21? Hopefully they're 21. The ladies sit at the tables. Where are the guys? The guys are playing pool, darts, golden tee, all these things, right? We have to be in a space where we're actually moving to bond, right? So if you start to think about what I'm doing right now with you guys, this is like the worst thing ever, right? You guys are sitting in a pack and you're trying to listen to one guy talk, right? So movement is going to be the key in the spice of life. So when you're talking about with your fellas, if you have somebody that's struggling, are you going to be able to sit face to face with them and talk about it? Probably not. What would you do instead?
It's like an activity with them.
Activity, right? Go for a hike, right? Something with movement. Play catch. I mean, age-old time. Like, what's the best time to bond with your dad? Let's go get a game of catch, Dad, right? Probably the greatest. I mean, I think of my boys growing up, like one of the greatest things to get kids to talk. So we need to be moving. We need to, like, project-based. We need to be hands-on. We're kinesthetic movers, right? And we bond as warriors. So when I was in, like, 6th grade, get this. So I had a fireworks stand by my house in South Philip, Spokane, and we were like 5th, 6th grade. We'd ride our bikes to the fireworks stand, and we get hundreds of Roman candles. And we put them in our bags, and we grab our garbage can lids, and we go out to the forest and play Roman candle wars with each other. I mean, what a bunch of morons, right? What were we doing? Bonding, right? I mean, we're going to light something on fire. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. But you do kind of see the what's happening with these guys, right? We're moving and we're bonding. So thinking about that with your guys, why are sports so amazing for you guys? That's a huge piece of it, right? Huge.
How many of you guys have boxed at 2 dinners? You wrestled or all that?
Fight clubs. Who's been in one? Fess up right now. Come on. No one? I know, I've heard about PrEP. I'm on to you guys. All right, depression. This is the craziest thing. Depression, male for female. This is like in the simplest terms. Male, testosterone. Females, estrogen and oxytocin. This is what testosterone does. You either isolate to your room or you fight somebody. That's what you do when you're depressed. Are you going to get sympathy? No, right? It sucks, right? Females get a huge pump of oxytocin, and what do? They gather. That's an amazing thing, right? They gather their community. This is what we need to be doing. We need to kind of gather up, figure that type of stuff out. The problem with females now, what they're showing in the research, why are they struggling so much? Why is their anxiety and depression up 450% since 2012? What happened in 2012? Yep, introduction to the smartphone for kids. So if they're getting depressed and they get the oxytocin pump and they're like thinking they need to gather, what are they doing? Where are they gathering? Huh? Online. You think that's connection? Nope. Right? So you're seeing a huge increase in depression with the ladies, right? Guys are more in this isolation or fighting mechanism, right? So we have to be able to start using our words a little bit better. Ladies need to go back to gathering. So with this anxiety and depression, we need to have the fellas, right? We need good dads. We need good father figures. We need Donnie Santoses running around doing their thing. And we need to just be better as a unit, right? You guys, the reason, why are we talking tonight? Is really like, I want you guys to be good dads. This is literally the cog of this whole conversation. We need you guys to be amazing fathers. That's what we want. You guys all have good father figures? Yeah? Right? If you don't, you need to seek them out, right? Like looking for those types of people in your life are super important, as are the peers. So marriage in adults has decreased from 85% to 33% in the last 60 years. Isn't that crazy? Why is that? It's amazing, right? We start to process those types of things. They're looking at all types of things. Like there's less people that even just want the label of being married right now, right? That's one. Number two, like starting 60 years ago, where were we? In the 1960s. You guys know what happened in the 60s? Like women's rights, right? Free love, war, right? All these different things that start to happen that start to chink at these social issues, and we start to have psych stuff. So in that time, unwed mothers, so no dads, has increased from 5 to 40+%. So 40+% of births right now are with no dads. We need fellas, right? We need good dads, right? So that's my soapbox on that. Hey, you guys ready to be fathers? Not yet. Huh? All right, not yet. Stay with me. All right. Oh, this is where we gotta write some stuff down here. Let's write. You guys are kinesthetic learners or visual learners, not many auditory. Who knows what kind of learner they are? You guys know it. You guys do those tests in school where you figure out what kind of learner you are? Yep. So maybe just fold that in half so you can stabilize that a little bit. So we're going to start this off. All right. This is my favorite one right here. Intentionality. We need to be thinking, right? As guys, are you dreaming? Does everybody have dreams? Like, what are you dreaming about? Like, what What do you see yourself doing in 10 to 15 years? What is 20 years? What does tomorrow look like? Right? We do need to do some dreaming. We're going to talk about staying present, but we do need to have a goal system built in ours. And I don't know if I like the word goal or not, but I love the word why. That's like purpose, right? So if you were to sit in your space right now and be like, what is my why? Right? Why are you here? Why are you here? Do you know? What's my why? What's my purpose? And it could be my purpose for this next week. It could be my purpose for just today. It could be my purpose for a year. I mean, I've had all sorts of, there's no wrong answer here. Do you understand that? Don't be afraid to, so I want you to write a why. Come up with something. Come up with a why. And it could be for today, it could be for a week, it could be for a year, it could be for your life. If you're like, yeah, that's right, I'm going to be speaking to young men about mental health, that's my why. That's a great why. Could I have told you that when I was 17 years old? Absolutely not. But I love to hear this stuff. Maybe you have to take care of your brother. Maybe you got to get to the major leagues so you can have some kind of amazing influence, right? Figure it out. Go big, go small. It's your choice. Or both, right? Find your why. You can have more than one, right? Who wants to share? You want to go?
Sure.
Let's do it.
I said role model for my own children and others.
Love it. Love it. So good. Who else? Come on, jump in. Oh man. Anybody else? Jump out. Say it. Step up. Who wants to say it? There's no ladies around here. This is just us. Let's go tonight. Give me some words. Donnie?
So, to start, when he said, have any of you been touched by suicide? Right? Nobody raised their hand. Whether you guys keep that to yourself, that's one thing. But I have gone through it, and it was the worst. Right? So I went through, in my opinion, the worst time of my life. My why is build better humans. My why is for you guys, so you guys never have to go through that experience, because it sucks. So the reason he's here, the reason we're talking about this, and the reason my thing is build better humans, is because I would like to have you guys not have to go through that. Because I'll tell you, it's the worst, and it's something that we need to work on as a group to prevent it. So
Love
build
it.
better humans.
Love it. Who else? Come on.
I said to help those around me and to better myself.
Love it. I love better myself. That's so important right now. Hey, that's not being selfish to work on yourself, right? That is the number one priority for you guys right now. Is to work on bettering yourself for sure. What else? So good. Good job, Luke. What else? Come on, jump in. Don't be afraid.
Represent my family and make myself proud, and then also spreading positive mindsets.
Love it. What's your name?
Sam Davidson.
Sam? So good. Represent your family, right? It's beautiful. What else? Come on. Come on, Hoopers. What do you got? What's your name?
Orland.
Orland?
Yep. I said to be a good leader to those around me and be someone other people could look up to.
Beautiful. Love it. Being a good leader. Whew. Right? Looking at that social government of that school. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a good leader for you?
Help those around me, even if it's not the person I would typically help.
Yeah. Seeing people that you don't normally see. Does everybody in this room know each other? You guys all know each other? Somewhat? Expos? This is mostly expos, right? Are you guys new together? You guys have been playing together for a while? All right. What do you got back there?
Positive impact on people.
Love it. What was your first name again?
Corbin.
Corbin. Positive impact on people. Beautiful. Anybody else want to jump in? All right, I'm going to get you all though. You're all going to get there. All right. Self-regulation, discovering techniques to control your nervous system so that you can relax your body during stressful situations. Hey, listen, anxiety gets a ton of hype, right? How many times have you guys heard the word anxiety? Pressure. It's a privilege, right? Now, there are some anxieties that are out of our control, correct? But we all live with some level of anxiety, and some of that we earn, right? We earn it. Like, you want to be what in baseball? Do you want to be up on the 9th inning with 2 outs, right? Yes. You earned that privilege to be in that spot. That is anxiety. It's worth it, right? Some of the greatest things we do in our life are going to be filled with anxiety, right? So how do we regulate that? What do you guys do? This is an amazing, I think the baseball players, don't get me wrong, I'm a hooper, but baseball players, there's nothing more like intense than standing in there, right? What do you do? What's your strategies? I'd love to know. What's your name? Max?
Just breathe.
Just breathe. It's not just breathe, it's breathe. Breathing is so underrated. Do you guys know how to breathe? What's the perfect breath? Tell me this. How many breaths per minute should we breathe on just an average minute? Do you know? 6. 6 breaths. What do you think the average is in the United States? 13. So we're essentially hyperventilating ourselves throughout like life, right? Hilarious. So in for 5 through our nose. In for 5 seconds. You want to try it? All right, everybody, let's do it. In for 5, out for 5. So we're going to go in for 5. Ready, go. In. Out. Through the mouth. You breathe like that? Right? It's pretty crazy. Try running up a hill and try doing some of that type of stuff, right? We do have to learn how to breathe, and that's like such a good one, right? Regulation. What else we got besides breathing?
I was just gonna simplify, like you've been here before. Like don't like overcomplicate things in your head. Just like simplify it.
Simplify, right? Been there before. Love it. Love it. That's good. Anybody else? We're learning, right? We're learning on this type of stage.
Picture a positive scenario.
Visualize, right? Absolutely. Go through it before you get there, right? I'm a golfer. What do you think I want to do on hole 1 when I got all my buddies harassing me around the first tee box?
Have a drive in the middle.
I want to pipe it. I got to see it. I need to see it, right? I need to see it on that left center, right? And then I flex at him when I'm done, right? Because we got to celebrate. That's what is celebrating bad? When did that become bad, right? We need to celebrate a little bit. Should be fun. All right, connection. Finding others that you can relate to and will listen to you. Reaching out to your community with a hand for service, right? You said about making your family proud, right? Representing your family. Hey, if we're struggling so hard on ourselves, then we're going to do it for somebody else for a little while, right? Does that make sense? Sometimes we're not too pumped in our own body. We're going to do it for our family. We're going to do it for our best friend. Finding that connection and getting in the community and working. How many of you guys do community service here? How many have you done? Have you all done it? Community service? Think about it. Might be going and hanging out with grandma, right? Helping out in the yard. Simple things like that. Stay focused. We need to give. We got to give to people. Self-care, sleep, nutrition, exercise, meditation, phone usage, social media. Does everybody have a phone? Huh? No phones in here? Liars. All right, so remember that number. Hey, since the smartphone has come out, anxiety, depression up 450%. It's no joke, right? COVID gets all this hype. COVID just blew the doors off of it, right? What do you think the number one thing that happened in COVID that was so bad? What do you think?
Isolation.
God, money. What's your name? Drew? So money, right? COVID made the standard okay to sit in your room by yourself, right? We had to. You had to study, you had to do all that type of stuff. And parents had to be okay with it. So now here we are out of COVID. What's happening? It hasn't changed. It's still in that same space. We got to get out of our rooms, right? All right, social media. You guys want me to talk about social media? Woo! What do you think about social media? Like, okay, like tell me this. Like, I had a cop tell me that social media was the number one avenue for kids to buy and sell drugs in high school. Snapchat is. Do you guys see that? I'm not selling you guys out. Don't worry. I'm just asking questions. Do you see that? Yeah. You're aware of that type of stuff. Do you think your parents are? So interesting, right? Like, you always know that, like, social media, like, I think having a really open and candid conversations with your parents about this stuff is super important, right? Are you mature enough to have that conversation with your parents? Right? Like, hey, this is what we're seeing. I mean, how amazing are those conversations to be having with your parents, right? Are they going to take it away from you? Probably not. They're going to trust you a little bit more because it's a mature conversation, right? Okay. Vulnerability. This is a big one. I'm 47. I know you guys thought I was like 30, right? I'm 47. Vulnerability is still like incredibly confusing to me because as a male, right, we're supposed to be strong. I want you guys to be strong men. I want to build strong men, right? That's what we want to be. That's what Donnie's talking about back there in a lot of different ways, physically, mentally, right? We want to be strong men. And then I go up and toss that word out there. What do you think? It's like, how am I strong and vulnerable at the same time? It's like for me at 47, it's super confusing too. Because a lot of it is like really, well, Kelly wants me to be strong, but now I got to show my weakness. Like, it's tough, right? But there's a time and a place for vulnerability. And you know, we're exposing ourselves, right? This is it. It's the possibility of being exposed to emotional harm, right? So one thing I would tell you with vulnerability, and we got to get there. We all need to be able to be vulnerable. Who are you going to be vulnerable with? On social media? Right? I mean, sometimes, like I've gone on social media and done that, but that's like, you're literally working on like trying to make it an okay thing. But what happens is we get pushing people towards, these young guys go towards vulnerability and there's no one to accept it. So they say in your time, you probably got 2 to 3 people that you really can like break it down all the way down to the screws, right? So keeping that in mind, like if you're looking at your friend group and your mentors, all those types of people, there's probably about 2 to 3 people that you're going to be able to really get down and dirty with, right? Does that make sense? So you kind of have to take that pressure off. Like, I don't have to do this all day long, right? But know who your audience is, right? Know who your people are, right? How do we get there, right? So you choose one. I want you guys to pick. When you are vulnerable and not comfortable, what do you choose? Which one's your Which one's your strategy? Take a peek. Armor up on the ego train. I'm a flexor. What's up, right? We know those guys, right? Sarcasm, right? Lashing out, right? Maybe I'm going to punch a hole in a wall, or I'm going to dog somebody. Maybe I disappear, or maybe I'm a people pleaser, right? Which one are you? Who wants to take a stab? Come on. I'll give you some cookies. You tell me which one you are. Somebody can jump out.
Probably sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
I'd say mine would probably be like I go quiet. I don't know if that's really what that would go into.
Yeah, I'd go kind of in that disappear mode right there. All right. Who else? What else? I knew this was going to be a hard one, hey? What else? Come on. I know you guys are baseball players, so I'm guessing the S word is like got to be huge in baseball, right? Am I right?
I'll do like sarcasm too, but I feel like I have stuff like armor up, like, you know, kind of.
Armor up. Flex it up. All right. Oreos. Who else? Who wants? Come on. What else you got? No one? You guys are just purely vulnerable human beings all the time? Come on. What do you got? That was my sarcasm right there.
I'd say I also disappear. I get quiet.
Disappear. What's your name?
Xavier.
Xavier. I like that. All right. One more. I got one more cookie. Who's going to give it to me? These are important things to be thinking about. What is my train? Like, what's my psychological train right now? How am I going to get to be vulnerable if I don't know what I do instead? What do you got? One more. Come on.
I would say like the easy answer is sarcasm. I feel like in some way I'm also like people pleaser. Like just tell people what they want to hear.
Oh, love that. Tell people what they want to hear. How many of us have done that? Come on, everybody needs to raise their hand. Right? Pretty yourselves up. I'm fine. It's all good. Right? There's a certain time and place for that. When people ask you, how are you doing? Do they mean it? Right? Do they mean it? You probably need to decipher that. That's where that confusion comes in, right? Like, if my patient today is like, how you doing, Kelly? And I'm like, oh, man, it's been a rough 2 years. Here's where it started. I'm going to go through the entire 2 years for you. My dog died. They probably don't want to hear that, right? So understanding when and where that is. That makes sense? Powerful. Can you get there? Can you guys get into a vulnerable state? Have you been there? The bros? With the bros? All right. If you want to connect with guys, right? If you truly want a connection with your friends, you have to get to that level. And you have to be able to receive it. And we have to be looking for it, right? I need to see from you guys. I need to be looking at you guys a little bit and being like, man, he seems like he's struggling a little bit. How are you seeing that, right? Looking for a little bit, being aware, right? Being a leader at school, I got to be like looking for that type of stuff, right? All right. How we doing? Empathy. Let's talk empathy for a quick second here, right? So that goes right along with vulnerability. I love it, like our ability to be present in what's really going on within, right? How can we be present with that person that's talking? How can we walk a mile in their shoes, right? These are such hard things to do without being like, you got this, you're going to be fine, right? Little things like that. Commit to not being a fixer, right? We can take that away for a little while. Man, how refreshing is that? When my nephew died, that was the first thing my sister said to me. I mean, talk about like a knife through the heart. She told me every time I come over, he would get pumped up. He said this to her. He'd get pumped up. And he'd just be so jacked, and we'd be having fun by the end of the conversation, and I would leave, and he'd go, woof. Because he's like, I can never be like Kelly. It's like the worst, right? So that's why, I mean, it's literally why I'm here, right? We don't need to be taking these people totally out of sadness, right? We want to be there for people. Is it okay to be angry? I had no idea. 3 years ago. Like I literally had no idea until I started looking through this type of stuff. How do you show empathy? Listen, stay present, and you have to reflect on these guys. That's one thing that, as fellas, we struggle in, right? What I'm hearing you say is, here's more dating advice, right? What I'm hearing you say is, and then talk about it. All right, hedonist versus happiness. This is why we feel empty sometimes, right? We have a relentless pursuit of pleasure, right? Buying cars, racing fast, right? All sorts of examples, right? All now, nothing for the later. Happiness is here, guys, right? It's now and later. It's coming, right? It comes with pain. Happiness comes with pain. The greatest joys you're ever going to experience in your life come following your deepest struggles. So is it okay to have deep struggles? It's even more than okay. It's phenomenal, right? We need to have deep struggles, right? It's going to create better relationships, right? Gives us purpose. This is the one thing I'm always telling my fellas, the college guys. If you ever get a tattoo that says no bad days on it, I'm going to punch you in the face, right? That is such a lie, right? There are bad days, right? I mean, you can't tell me you had every day's a great day. That's the most ridiculous saying in the world. Now, no bad days, yeah, we have bad days, but in every day, there's good moments in every day. We just need to find those, right? See those. So, do you hear me? If you get a tattoo that says that, you got to come to my house, right? Deal? All right, sleep deprivation. Whew. I just want to pick on this. What do you guys think you're sleeping at night? What time do you go to bed usually? Let's hear it. 10? 11? What time do you get up?
6:37.
All right, right? So we're starting to calculate these numbers. Is that a consistent basis for you guys? Like high school is a little bit easier to get it. I think it's true. When we get to college, sometimes these things get derailed a little bit, but we're supposed to get 7 to 9 hours per night, right? You guys are still growing, so you probably are more like 10, but, right? 11% of students sleep well. 40% of students feel well rested 2 days per week. On average, you guys are getting 6 hours a night, on average. Not enough sleep, right? You're so busy, you're working hard, right? And here's the big one. All right, you gotta collaborate with me on this. How many people have their phones in their rooms? Come on, raise your hands if you do. Okay, where's the rest of them? Where do you guys have your phones? Kitchens? You don't have a phone? I'd love that, man. What's your name? Marco? I love that. No phones? No phones? I got 3 dudes in here with no phones right now. How old are you guys?
15, 14.
Who are your parents? God bless your parents, right?
14.
Huh? 14? All right, so we know now in the research that we really shouldn't have phones. Like it's literally a massive issue. I mean, 16 is real. Like if we could get kids to not have phones before they're 14, we're killing it. But sleep is a huge piece of that, right? So what we want to do with the fellows that do have their phones, you don't get to have your phone for an hour prior to sleep. It's literally, if I tell you this right now, that it literally changes the synapses in your brain, like what would you do? Like it's bad for your brain. It's bad brain health to have your phone looking at your screen an hour before you go to bed. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but I want you to think, right? Take it in, right? Research-driven materials, right? Sleep depth. Look at all the things that sleep depth does. Increases anxiety, obesity, diabetes, memory loss. I actually was freaking out about this because I was getting like 5 to 6 hours. Now I'm I'm going back up. Lo and behold, my memory's getting better. All right, quick thing, simplicity of nutrition. Hey, how much water do you guys drink? These are like simple things that are in such easy control for us. Hey, if we put our phone away a little quicker, if we drink 50% of our weight in ounces a day, you guys do that? Get close? Like thinking in your head right now, what's half my weight? Do I get that in ounces? Do you guys all rock Stanleys, or what do you got now? What's the cool cup now? Still Stanley? Stanleys. How'd those get cool? They're not even that cool. Less sugar. Okay, get outside, breathe, mindfulness. No pot, no marijuana. What is up with marijuana? Do you guys know why I would say that? It is. They're showing the purity on marijuana is so pure now, right? When I was in high school and college, like the purity was like 5-10%. Now it's like 80s percentiles, 80s to 90. It's so pure. So they're actually showing that whatever state you're in, instead of like mellowing us out like our parents may think at times, it's actually increasing whatever state we're in. So if we're super anxious, it makes us more anxious. If we're super depressed, it makes us more depressed. Do you think that is good for our state? Horrible, right? This is dead serious. They're trying to get the name changed from marijuana to a different drug because it's so different now. All right, value up. So you know your why. I want you to think of what your values are. Okay? So you're going to list. We are born with a set of values, right? We are born with these things. Our parents help us with these, right? Our coaches help us, right? But we are born with a set of values. I want you to think right now, I want you to be super proud of yourself because you have I want you, when you come into my office and you interview for a job, this is probably my first question. Hey, what are your set of values? What are they? Right? So let's go past the list. Here's a bajillion values, right? I want you to think of 3 that you hold within yourself. And then we'll talk about this a little bit. So if we go through these, can you guys see any of these? You guys have pretty good eyes. You read them? I want you to write down 3. Right? That not that somebody has told you have, but what you truly believe you have. Right? 3 values. You don't even have to, this is a chart of these, but you could think it yourself, right? You can come up with these. 3 of them. Tell me when you're ready. Love it. Who's got 3? Who's done? What do you got?
I said success, friendship, and legacy.
Love it.
I got faith, family, and compassion.
Love it. Faith's a magic word.
Honesty, gratitude, and responsibility.
Love gratitude.
Said confident, faithful, humor.
Confident, faithful, humor. What's your name?
I'm David.
Nathan.
I didn't make that goal.
What was the first one? Commitment. Love it. What's your name? Quinn? You got?
Loyalty, respect, and trust.
Oof. Love them. Loyalty.
I said passion, friendship, and uniqueness.
Sweet. Passion, man. Sometimes passion gets mistaken as anger, right? Like aggression, that type of stuff. That's okay. Like aggression, anger are okay, right? Passion's money.
I said generosity, respect, and honesty.
Love it. Generosity. Good? Are you proud of those things? Like you're fulfilling those. Those are your values. So when we go back, right? I think the one thing I want to say is negative events do not erase these values. These are in you forever, right? Do we have negative events in our life? Heck yes, right? So we take those values, and they're like a shiny gold ball, right? When we're born and we're kind of moving through space, and we get a negative event. Lots of negative events happen every day, right? And we get a little dust on that ball, that shiny ball, get a little dirt on it, and it gets, all of a sudden what happens after negative event, it kind of buries that ball, right? Is it gone? It's just buried a little bit, right? Sometimes we need to be able to take that list and pin that sucker up in our mirror and remind ourselves what our values are every day, right? If you come in for a job, I want to know. I want that swagger. I want you to tell me what you're great at, right? Grace for yourself and others. We fail, right? That is life. Like we're gonna fail all the time, and no judgment. We'll go over that a little bit. I love that one. Like you guys with the faith piece. I mean, if we think about faith, we're not going to mix religion into that right now, right? We talk about faith. Faith is what? It is grace for others. What does grace mean? Does anybody know? What is grace? It is loving the sinner, not the sin. Simple, right? Do you have that for yourselves? Right? That's the question. Right? Are you okay? Having a mistake? You can come back from that. You forgive yourself. And then for other people. So grace and judgment, right? Are we judging others and are we judging ourselves? Thinking about that type of stuff. All right. Oh man, I'm running late, you guys. All right. Resilience. Resilience is grit, right? You guys all displayed it, right? The process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats. Do you know that you've all had trauma in your life? The one thing is, everybody's had it now in their life, some great loss. Everybody in this room went through COVID, right? No joke. It was no joke for you guys. No joke for any of us, but powerful for you guys. Trauma, right? It's some kind of loss that we have to grieve through, right? And think of in your life, I lost my nephew to suicide. I can't compare my loss to your loss. That's the most important thing that you can understand with that type of stuff. Everybody has to deal with their own, and it's theirs, right? So you own it. How do we equip our skills for resilience? How do we build resilience? Here's your three things. Mindfulness, gratitude, my brother. Peer support, right? Here's that same thing, right? Peer support. There's 2 or 3 people in your life that are those vulnerable characters that you're going to work with. Mindfulness, right? Here's your test. I want you to think about this. Can you sit in complete quiet for 5 minutes by yourself? When's the last time you did it? Can you think of a time where you did it? This is crazy, right? Who goes to sleep with headphones and that type of stuff, right? Lots of my boys are always trying to do it, but right? Can we get the white noise out of there and just be in space? I do this every day now because I got called out on it. I'm up to like 10 minutes. I know. I'm part awesome. Right? Sitting under a tree. Can you do it for 5 to 10 minutes? Try it. See if you can, when I'm talking about sitting under a tree for 5 to 10 minutes, you have to stay in that moment right there. Like, that's crazy, right? Not going on 17 different tangents. Like, I got my list of things I got to do for my wife, that type of stuff, right? So thinking about that type of stuff. Can you do it? Try. Can you drive to school with no radio on? Little things, right? See what you can come up with. So there's a new research study, I didn't get it up here, new research study on on the greatest ideas, and they talk about exercise. The greatest ideas, the number one time for greatest ideas is that you come up with in your life is during an exercise with no music, no headphones. When's the last time you exercised hard without headphones in, right? Thinking about that type of stuff. I mean, I love listening to music too, but does it have to be every time? No way. But hey, we're going to generate some amazing ideas with quietness in our brain. Try it, right? Easy things to be thinking about. Do you want to come up with great ideas? Yeah, right? You will. Where would I go? Oh man, this is a hard word, right? We're almost done. Life is temporary, right? Life is a terminal illness, right? It is temporary. Everything in our life is temporary. Does that seem harsh? A little bit, right? But it's the truth, right? So whether that's a positive or a negative, it will not last. This too shall pass, right? It will not last. So we need to celebrate. We need to worry less, right? We need to do a lot of these different things just to kind of help ourselves through these types of things. And yeah, celebrate the dubs. There we go. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Is that the greatest quote ever? Who knows who said it? Come on, one time. You know it? Have you heard that one?
Jordan?
No, the Jordan of life, Nelson Mandela, right? Okay, so he's from South Africa, but I mean, his story is phenomenal, but if you actually read that quote, read that quote, you guys. Is that just the greatest? Like, that is resilience, right? It's grit. We all fail, right? So now we're gonna be judged. If we're gonna be judged by how many times we get up and do it, right? Get salty. The other part of this that I have to put in there a little bit is like, hey, we fail, we make mistakes, but guess what? It's okay to make mistakes, but you better be accountable to your mistakes, right? You need to own it. Is that fair? Ownership of your mistakes. I don't know which one's more important, right? To be okay with making mistakes or to be more accountable to our mistakes. That is being a man in a nutshell, right? All right, we need to connect, right? So get off your phones, see people, right? Get off your phones. Get in line with people, see them, right? Find your purpose, find your why, volunteer. We need mentors, fellas. You guys look like a squad right now. We're gonna need mentors. Who, right? You know that your peer group is super important, right? That's where your influence is. Who is dying to hang out with you, to see you? Who is it? What age group? You guys are all high school, right? At least. Who's just jonesing to hang out with you? Besides me. Who? Come on. What age group? Girls. That's true. I like that. Some of them. Who else? What group of boys? That's so good. What group of boys? Come on. Who is it?
Younger groups.
Yeah. Middle schoolers, little twerpies, right? Elementary school. Who goes into elementary schools and volunteers, right? Any big brothers in here? Right? So they have a program called Big Brothers, right? Where you actually go and hang out with little guys. What do you think? There's a Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. Which one doesn't have enough?
Big brothers.
Yeah. You got a lot of big sisters, not very many big brothers. Is that a problem? Does that kind of piss you off a little bit? Like, hey guys, let's go take care of these. We need father figures, we need mentors, right? You guys are strong. Like, this is the time. If I only knew when I was in my teens and my 20s, if somebody would have said, hey, man, people are watching you, looking up to you, you have a ton of that right now. So open up and see what you got, right? All right. Whew. All right, summary. Okay, you got to know your values, right? Show vulnerability to those that are ready for it, right? Not to everybody, right? Don't be going out and telling everybody this crazy story if they're not ready for it. It is okay to not be okay, but own your mistakes. Choose your words carefully in school, right? Be sensitive enough to understand that people are listening, right? They hear you. They hear what you say, and such small words can be a big deal. Choose empowerment over shame. Be proud of being a man. Hey, it's time to be masculinized. Let's roll. Like, being a man is awesome. Like, there are some things. So women, here's the crack on ladies, right? They have a lot of white matter in their brain. They can do 10 things at once. Can we do 10 things at once? Probably not, right? We have a lot more gray matter in our brain. We are amazing at a task. One task. We are brilliant. Do you believe that? That's what our brain is made up to do. When somebody gives us a task and we are focused, there is nothing that can stop us. Right? Understand what it is. What's going on in that male brain? These are cool things, right? You can change the world with that thought process. And this is what I want you to do as a favor to me. Right? Mental health there's a crazy stigma on it. Why? Like, why is it bad to talk about mental health? Why can I not talk about suicide? Why can I not talk about vulnerability with you guys? Right? Like, go ahead, jump out there. Like, you can see at the beginning of this conversation with you guys, it's a little cautious, right? It's like, I don't know if I want to jump in. No one's biting, right? This is an amazing time. You guys are, now they talk about your generation being the most empathetic, compassionate generation. Why? Why is that? Think about when I played at home when I was like in 5th and 6th grade. Do you think I watched the news? Do you think I looked at my feed on TikTok or Instagram? I saw nothing. I went out and played outside while my parents watched the news. What happens to you guys? You guys have phones and you're seeing a lot of stuff, a lot of negativity, right? You're like tasting a lot of stuff at a very early age. This world is amazing. It's an amazing place to be. And like, as you go, I wish that for you, like, understand how great our world is. And there's so many positive things that are happening. And you guys are going to be the greatest generation ever because of all the stuff that you're dealing with right now. Right? So 3 words. I think 3 words. We could choose a lot tonight, but I think temporary is huge. Purpose-driven life, and making connections, right? For my fellas, those are your 3 words. Like, post them up, write them down, look at them, see them, right? Know your values, understand that stuff, but go out and do it, right? What questions do you have for me? Or comments? You want to do you guys got any hot takes for me? What do you see? What in that topic is uncomfortable? What vibes? What do you think? Got anything? Step out there. Go ahead. What do you got? What are you going to take away tonight? Come on. Jump. What do you got? I see you.
Well, I think as just a group of guys, like, it's hard to kind of approach each other in like an emotional state. It's more like we're showing up to practice, showing up to tournaments and competing, but also at the end of the day, we have to make sure everybody knows that we're here for each other.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird because you never know like how someone's feeling because we don't really talk about it on that level. So that's what I take away. Like, trying to connect on more of an emotional level too.
Yeah.
With teammates and friends.
Yeah. You can see it, right? You can see it on your fellows' faces if you're watching. Be aware, right? Don't sell yourself short. You guys are smart. You can see it on your faces. What else? What are you going to take? Come on, gratitude. Give me something. Love that one.
I would just say that I guess really trying to strengthen the bonds and relationships you have with your friends.
Yeah.
So then you're all on the same page and you can count on one another to
Yeah.
go to one another when you are.
Yeah.
I agree with that thought.
Love it. Gratitude's an amazing concept too, right? Our brain is negative. It's trained negative. That's why the news is negative, because we feast off that type of stuff. So that 3-to-1 ratio, you should be saying 3 gratitude, three amazing positivity things for each negative that you get, just to get it to even, right? You guys should be proud. Keep rocking it. I'm gonna come watch an Expos game though. Where do you guys play hoops?
Right now we're just traveling.
Where do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled.
Homeschooled?
I'll go to CV next year.
CV.
I'm going to CV too.
All right, Central Valley Bears. Awesome. All right, well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
If somebody came to you in this room, somebody walked up to you and said, "Hey, I need your help. Can you help me? It's kind of sensitive. I'd love to talk to you." Would you guys pretty much all be willing to help that person? No doubt, right? Okay. Does everyone see each other nodding in your head? Okay. Now on the flip side, how hard would it be for you to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I need help"? Okay, so we all acknowledge we all would help, right? Okay, if Quinn came to me and said, "Hey, I need your help," there's no doubt in my mind I'm helping him. So you have to, especially, it's pretty cool that you guys as a team, right, are all acknowledging that. Now on the flip side, give yourselves all permission to find somebody to say, okay, if I was struggling, everyone think of it real quick. If I was struggling, who am I going to go talk to and ask? Everyone think that. Somebody in this room, they already acknowledge they're here to help you, right? They already said, yeah, no doubt. Sam comes to me and says, "I need help," I'm going to battle for it, right? So, if you're struggling with something, right, whatever it is, maybe I need to do the flip and say, okay, I know I need to go ask for that help because I got people around me that are willing to do that for me. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like the vulnerability piece. That's as a guy, man, that's the most vulnerable thing is going and asking someone for help.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, my girlfriend just broke up with me. I'm really messed up about it. Can we talk about it? Right? You guys have to know people in your life that will, without judgment, hey, no problem, man, let's talk about it. Like, how can I help you? Right? And it could be a buddy, a teammate, me, Kelly, Maddie, right? Whatever it is, but if you're willing to say, I'm for sure willing to help people, right? And you have that same mindset of, okay, I'm willing to ask for help too, right? That help. Like, have you ever had like a really good like conversation with someone and felt like, whew, I got that resolved. I feel better, right?
Oh yeah.
It feels good, right? And it's like you have people in this room right now acknowledging, I will help. So if you're struggling with something, which probably we all are on some level, find someone in this room that you can go say, okay, hey, Marco, can me and you talk, man? I need your help. Like, can you just hear me out? I need some advice, whatever it is. Because that you ask for help will make you feel better. It might not solve all your problems, but it'll have somebody in your corner knowing. I hope Marco, after a week after we talk, reaches back out and says, "Hey, that thing we were talking about, how you doing with that? How's that going?" Right? right? Checking in on you, all this stuff.
How's your relationship going to be after that happens is a great thing too, right? I think that's one of the most amazing pieces of that. Your relationships are going to get so much stronger. How many of you thought of a female when you were thinking of like who would you go to talk to? Just one? Two? Why? I mean, I usually have way more hands than that, so that's just kind of interesting. I love that. But you think about like that concept of that empathetic heart, right? We can be in that space too. It's totally okay, right? And guys are awesome in their own ways. There's the little like ledge that like I gotta go. I'm on that ski hill and I'm gonna drop off that thing. It's like not easy to do, but once you start doing it, it's amazing. Hey, like I didn't start doing this stuff till I was like 43. So, right? That's a lot of years of trying to be stoic, perfect guy. And my relationships, since I've been getting after it, when I'm starting to lean into people, I mean, it is unbelievable. It's outrageous. I'm like, what have I been doing? Right? It's so rich. So keep that in mind and be ready for it, right?
The reason for this conversation, fellas, is life's gonna throw you curveballs. It's never gonna always be easy, right? There's gonna be good days, bad days, all of it. And you know, for me, like why I care about you guys is I want you to know, like you're not battling it alone. You know what I mean? I don't want you don't need to battle it alone, right? And I think as guys, like we're going through it, and you know, if Quinn came to me and said, "Hey, I'm really struggling with, you know, recruiting stuff, or you know, what am I going to do for college, or whatever it is," I think a lot of us have had that thought, right? How many of us have kind of are right now battling like, "God, what's the next 3 years of my life going to look like?" Right? But have you guys had that conversation with each other? And like, not like put your armor up like, you know, oh, D1 or bust, whatever. It's like, well, what if only a community college or Division III is, or what if sports doesn't work out, right? It's like all those conversations you can have with each other, and like still see and still have somebody in your corner to say like, "Hey man, like I got your back no matter what." You being a D1 athlete or a rec league athlete has no basis on how much I like you or how much I support you, right? I still want the best for you. I want you to be a major league all-star, all this stuff, but like the reason I'm so pumped Kelly's here is like the stuff he's talking about is huge for what's going to come in the next 3 to 50 years of your life, where you can have like, I heard this quote, it was, if you know something and don't do it, do you really know it? Right? He just said, the phone before bed is bad. Drinking water, getting a good night's sleep, exercise is good for your mental health. Like, he just rattled off all this stuff. And you're like, yeah, I know. Sleep's good, all the, well, if you really care about like maximizing your performance, being the best athlete you can, being the best person you can, right? And you're not doing it, and do you really know it? You know, like, or why doesn't it matter to you? If it doesn't matter to you, let's talk about it. Let's figure out why are you straying away from being your best? You know what I mean? That's what we want from you. We want you to be your absolute best. We want best person, best athlete, best dad, best boyfriend, husband, all of it, right? So it's like, this group today, you get 1 hour of somebody giving you information on how to be at your best, which I think all of you want, right? You come to the gym, you go to practice, you work hard at school to be your best. all the stuff he's talking about, let's put that stuff into action.
Yeah.
And, like, see the results, right? What if you for 2 weeks turn your phone off an hour before bed, right? For 2 weeks, and then on that 14th day, you're like, dang, I feel good. Would that be worth it? I mean, you know what I mean? So it's just, fellas, like, asking for help's hard. Feeling like you're gonna be judged is hard. But I challenge you to find people that aren't gonna judge you and are vocal about it. Hey, Sandberg, you asked me for help. I'm not gonna judge. You can come to me with any issue you got, man. I'm ready for it. Right? You saying that to a buddy or a teammate or whoever, that's gonna hold some weight. So
And
take this stuff.
And that judgment piece is huge, you guys, right? Hey, we all judge. We're not Jesus, right? We're trying to be more like that. So we're gonna make. I've judged people today already. Like, it's happened. This stuff happens. We're not perfect, right? So finding that, getting better at it every day is important, right? Get better at it. And we're listing off all these things. They're free, right? All these things to get better at are free. You know, that's important to me. Like, and it will be really important to you as you grow. Go ahead and take it now and get 2 decades ahead of Kelly Risse, right? Not that we're competing. Well, we are, right? I think it's awesome. You guys are super proud of you for coming. Thanks for being here, and good luck with everything. If you ever have any questions, like Donnie said, I'm here. I'm passionate about this stuff. I love this. So, you know, thanks for listening. Thanks for collaborating. And if you're ever like, man, it would be amazing for him to hit on something that I've experienced, those are the things I would love to hear. Like, I want to hear what we can serve young men with more, right? Thanks for being thoughtful. Now you got to go home and eat, probably. Right? All right. Thanks, guys.